Welcome to another episode of Worldly Church Girl. It's your girl, your host, Lillian Harshaw. On today's show, I have an Emmy Award winner, broadcaster turned podcaster, and a man who's interviewed everyone up to the one and only President Barack Obama. Even with that being said, what he's doing now surpasses all those things. It gives me great privilege to introduce to you Mr. Gary Metivier. How did you know that you wanted to get into broadcasting?
Well, the funny thing, Lillian, is I was a very shy young boy. I'm from a family of 12 kids, and I was the youngest boy, so I was the sixth of 7 boys. And I was very quiet, very shy, just always observed people all the time. And I sort of got into a Christian service project in high school, and a TV channel came out and wanted to interview me about the experience. And I said, okay. And I saw the way they put together that story and how it impacted people's lives. And I said, wow, I think I kind of want to do that someday. So that's sort of how it all started.
Okay, I'm going to go to the youngest of 12, huh?
Well, I'm the 10th of 12, but the youngest boy. Yeah.
I can relate because I'm the youngest of 9.
Oh, okay. Wow. Big family.
Yes. Yeah. 7 boys, 2 girls. My sister's the oldest. All the boys are in the middle, and then me.
Oh, that's cool. Big families have their share of great moments and, of course, a lot of chaos, as you well know.
Oh, yeah. What would you say, or who would you say was your biggest influence in the podcasting industry?
Well, podcasting, I just started my own podcast at Thanksgiving of this year. So I just got started because after being on TV for 20 years and doing various platforms, and I started out doing radio actually too. And so podcast, I'm like, this is kind of cool because this is something you can do. You can talk to interesting people. And as we're doing, you don't always have to be in person. And you can take the amount of time that you need. Like on TV, most news stories are about 1.5 minutes and 2 minutes. Some of my podcasts run 20 to 30 minutes. And some of my YouTube stories run almost 30 minutes long. It's kind of cool thing about this platform. You can reach different people that may have similar interest all around the world, and your platform isn't necessarily constrained by those time constraints and location too. So it's pretty cool.
Now I'm going to reword the question. What's your biggest influence in the broadcasting world?
Well, Tom Brokaw. I always looked up to Tom Brokaw. I always thought that he carried himself in a way that sort of gave you a calmness, right? So no matter if he's delivering the worst news in the world, it's coming from someone that you can count on, and he gave you a little bit of reassurance. So then when I became a broadcaster, I wanted to be the same. I wanted to be that voice, that face, that if things are going terrible in your world, if a plane has gone down, or 9/11, or the Oklahoma City bombing, which was my first major story of my hometown, actually, I wanted to be that person that people could trust and turn to, and that would hopefully give them a little perspective and a little calm. Cool thing, Lillian, on that is years later, Tom Brokaw wrote the foreword to my first children's book, and that was the first time he had ever done that. He had never written a foreword for someone's book before, but since mine was going, all proceeds were going to veterans to send them on an honor flight to Washington, D.C., and one of his best friends in college was a man that I knew and from our area that sort of put us in connection. So that was a pretty cool moment for me, to be sure.
I bet. Now, how did you even get in contact with him?
Funny, I was presenting at a Kiwanis meeting up in Burlington, Iowa. And a man came up to me at the end and said, wow, Gary, I've been a fan of yours for years. I enjoy your work. And by the way, I went to college with Tom Brokaw, and we're still friends. And you have that NBC connection. And he put me in touch with him, and the rest was history, if you will. So I submitted the book to him, and I said, if you don't mind offering just a few words to help us with this. And he said, sure, and sent it on. And that was pretty exciting.
I couldn't even imagine.
Cool thing about that is, I've interviewed so many people including President Obama, which we'll perhaps talk about here in a minute. But I've never been really nervous, because I live in Iowa where the caucuses are, and so all the politicians come through, and I've interviewed so many. But interviewing Tom Brokaw, or when I got to talk to him in person for the first time, I felt my throat tighten up, and I'm like, oh my goodness. You meet your mentor sometimes, and it changes everything. The dynamics change considerably.
Was it what you thought it would be?
You know what they say sometimes, if you don't ever meet your heroes, but because they are real people too, as we all know in life, right? We sometimes put people on pedestals, and we have to remember that we all have our strengths and our weaknesses, our faults, and the things that make us really talented, and the things that we can use to help touch others' lives. So, at the end of the day, people are people, and we have to put that in perspective. That's for sure.
Now, you won so many awards. Now, which award is like one of your proudest moments?
Well, that would have been about 3 years ago now, when I received my second Emmy. My wife convinced me to go because I'm not much for getting dressed up and going to those big events where thousands of people sitting around tables, and it's but she said you should go because of this particular story. And the coolest moment for me, Lillian, was, and by the way, my grandmother's name was Lillian, so I love that name. So they called my name for this award, and it was really cool. And I got to go up, and I got to thank the woman who I did the profile story on. Got to thank my wife for the first time. But most important to me was my mother's 85 years old, and she had never seen me win an award before, and she was watching the live stream of this with my sister in Phoenix, Arizona. And she was drinking a glass of wine and watching on her laptop. And I got to hold up that Emmy nice and high and say, "Mom, this is for you. I love you." And that was cool. That's the highlight of my career. That'll be hard to beat.
I bet she was a proud mommy that day.
Yeah, she was. She was. I was very proud too to be able to stand up there, the shy little kid, and be able to thank my mom. So that was awesome.
And congratulations. I mean, that's an achievement.
Oh, thank you. Those are gifts that I believe God gave me. And then he also gives me the power, if you will, to be able to pursue things, even though I am still very shy. I get very passionate about the stories that I tell and the people that I meet. And somehow I get the strength. I mean, even when I met with President Obama at the White House, just before I went into the Oval Office and went in to meet with him, I was so incredibly nervous. I just stopped and said, "Hey, God, you put me here. You got to figure this out. You got to help me get through this now." And sure enough, the minute I shook President Obama's hand, all my nerves went away, and something came through me. I did my job. I had memorized all my questions and had a great conversation with him that was all recorded, live to tape. And I walked out of there and I said, "Thank you." Thank you for not letting me fall on my face back there.
Ain't that it? It's like, you got to meet me. Hello, don't you leave me in this spot by myself.
Yeah, right. You got me here. You better stick right there with me. That's for sure.
I'm like, God, I know you have a sense of humor, but right now, don't be funny.
Actually, the funny part of that was I had spent hours and hours preparing for this interview, and so I had asked viewers to write in, to mail, to call on all their questions, and I knew I would only have about 5 minutes with the president. So I kind of worked on my compound questions, and I only had about 3 or 4 because I knew that was all I'd have time for. And I wrote them nice big letters so I wouldn't have to wear my glasses. But my blood pressure, I think, and nerves, and the fact that I only got about 2 or 3 hours of sleep, I looked down at my notes just before I went in, and I could not see anything. It was all blurred. Yeah. And again, when I walked in there and shook his hand, I didn't need my notes. I had memorized everything, and God helped me through it and just kind of nailed it. So that was really cool.
Now, how was he?
He was interesting. I mean, a man with a lot of weight on his shoulders, right? I was trying to get through to him personally, which is hard to do because, as you know, in the media world nowadays, everyone's trying to get that gotcha moment. They're trying to catch you making a mistake that'll make headlines. And so very much on guard and very much on message. So my job was to try to get him off message a little bit so that we could get to know him a little bit as a man and as a person, and to talk about some of the issues very important to the folks where I live. And so that was hard, I must admit. I saw a little bit of a sadness in his eyes because he couldn't just have a normal conversation because, there's a lot of stress and a lot on the line every single time. And if you have a bad day as president of the United States, that could lead to some serious stuff. So, but it was a great experience, I have to admit. And when I walked out of the room, the cameras were turned off, and I turned back to him and I said, "Hey, President Obama, thanks again, man. That was really cool." And he says, "Hey, you're welcome, Gare. Say hello to the quads for me." And so that was a really cool moment. That was nice.
So he relaxed once the cameras was off. His
Yep.
guard was down a little bit.
Both of us, I think. Yeah. I was going, phew, this is over. Yeah.
I'll bet. Okay, so what made you decide to walk away from all of that to do your own production company?
I'd done 30 years of news, and the hardest part for me was walking away from the viewers, the people that listened and people I watched every night that counted on me. But at the end of the day, there was so much negativity, and that gets overwhelming after a while, because the part of the news that you hear or you see is only a fraction of what we have to go through to put it on the air. So we hear so many bad details of crimes and whatnot that we don't share, that we try to filter out, if you will. We're gatekeepers to some extent. But to understand a story, we have to take in so much. And I worked with every reporter on the stories, and I worked with the producers. And just after a while, I got to be, you know what, this is so much negativity. And I would push and fight for positive news stories. And every once in a while, I'd get to do those on TV. I wanted to just do more happy stuff, the stuff that makes people smile or inspires or lifts them up. So I said, the only way I'm going to do that is to walk away. And they were quite surprised when I walked away. But when I told them that, they couldn't convince me, they said, "Well, we're going to talk you into staying." I said, "Well, you'll have to convince two people, my wife and God. And good luck with either of those, because they have made up their decision."
It's funny because I've had so many conversations with people. Like, I hated watching the news because it's like there is no good news, and except maybe the last 30 seconds, they might show maybe a puppy got rescued or something like that. So
Right.
To find out that there's something out there finally like you, long overdue.
I hope so, and it's a big time leap of faith, I have to tell you, because I mean, I still need to work. I still have several years left before I can retire. But to me, I want to reach people. I want to inspire people. I want the stories that just ignite something in someone to make them go out and be a better person, do something, find a talent or a gift they have and give it back. My biggest question now is, will I be able to grow these platforms to do that? Right now, I'm doing it on a small scale, and I hope to be able to keep sharing the stories, if you will, financially, doing this all myself. As you know, most podcasters and most YouTubers don't make money at what they do. My production company is helping me with that again, so I'm self-financing, if you will, but I'm still going out and finding stories, and people are still coming to me with their stories, and I just can't stop going out and getting them. And I just hope that this is a medium that I can really build on and have a loyal following and just keep on going and reach more people like you're doing, and spreading words of hope and positivity, life, love, and happiness. And we need more of that in this world, to be sure.
And what did your family think? I know what your wife said, but what did the rest of your family think when you said, "I'm done with this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do what God is leading me to do"? What did they say?
I think for the most part, except for my wife and my two sons, who are now both, one just finished college, the other just got into college. And I think they understood, they understand. Everybody else, a little bit of state of shock, because, I mean, I was at the peak of my career. And, this whole celebrity thing, we have a world where we just really put celebrities up on a pedestal, and people couldn't believe that I would walk away from that. Fact is, I never enjoy the celebrity part of it, except that it can help me get a message out. It isn't about someone saying, "Hey, could I have your autograph?" I don't care about that. I don't actually even really like that. What I like about people saying, "Hey, I saw this story that you did on that young lady that's reaching for her dreams of being a race car driver, and I love that. And that made me decide I'm going to go out and do something too." That's what it's about for me. So walking away was not a big shock to the people closest to me, but it was to a lot of the viewers and people that aren't such close friends of mine, that'll be like, "Wow, you just walked away from everything." They were quite surprised and still are.
Are there any stories right now that resonate with you?
So many, and so many that I'm working on right now. I mean, I have one that I met, and I've never been to. I don't know about you, but I've never been much of a race car fan. There's something out in this part of the country called dirt track racing. It's just sort of racing around an oval on dirt in race cars, and I'd never even been to one before this year. But I found a sense of community in one of them. There was a man that was he had been out of driving for about 20 years, and they were trying to raise some sponsors to help him with something for his car. So I asked more questions, and it turns out that after 20 years, he almost died in an accident 20 years ago. So he had to quit racing, but he was a champion racer, and he won like 50 major events. And he has a young son now, and he found out that he has prostate cancer and it's terminal. And he wanted this little boy to see him race. So he got back in the car 20 years later. And the community sort of came together, and everybody made donations, and all the teams of his competitors came together to help him build the perfect car so that he could race again. And on Father's Day, he got back in that car and he raced for the first time in 20 years. And that was the story of a community coming together to help a simple dream come true. In a perfect world, he would have won the race that night, but he blew the engine. But he said, "I don't care. I got to drive, and my son got to see me back in the car seat." So that was back in the driver's seat. So that was everything to him. Those little stories, little quiet stories of everyday people that are going out and living their dream, going after something. And yes, sometimes they fail, but sometimes in the failure we learn so much more about ourselves and our community. And it's just so cool to be part of that in every different story I come across.
I don't even see that story as a failure. I mean, as far as him not winning, he won. He definitely won.
Yep, no doubt.
If you could interview anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Ooh, I should have prepped for this question. That's for sure. Wow. If I could interview anyone, dead or alive, what would it be, and how would I do the question would be probably how would I handle it? That's for sure. Oh, wow. That's a tough one. I think probably Walter Cronkite. I would really want to ask him about what it felt delivering the news. I mean, if you remember when he announced the John F. Kennedy assassination, and he wiped away a tear, I would dig down a little bit deeper. I would go back to talk to him about the responsibility and accountability of his reporting and what it felt to him, because I have to tell you, when I reported on the Oklahoma City bombing, which my family was from Oklahoma City, and my sister was downtown at the time, and we had not heard from her, so I didn't even know if she had survived. And all the reporters working with me on that story had family there. And I just knew that I had to put on my reporter's hat. I was on the air for several hours. And then when that was over, I mean, we were all doing our job. And I even interviewed a doctor live on TV that had just used a small pocket knife to cut off a woman's arm to pull her from the rubble to save her life. So all these amazing stories were coming at us so fast. And by the time we finally signed off, nobody said a word. We just all walked together and met in the middle of the newsroom and all started hugging and crying because we realized we hadn't stopped to think about this is our family. This is our community. These are people we know. But we came together to do a job. And that was our job. So I would ask Walter Cronkite questions like that about, the responsibility on him. He was the man, he was the voice that so many turned to in times of distress, and what that did to him personally too.
I'm asking you, I mean, how did you keep your composure?
When tragedy strikes, you just have to say to yourself, I have a job to do. These people are counting on me. My emotions don't count right now. I have to be the one to ask those tough questions. I have to be the one to offer information and perspective. And no matter what's going on, I have to have a calmness to me, and I have to just sit down and do my job. Through 9/11, through the Oklahoma City bombing, through so many devastating news programs that I've had to broadcast, I just tell myself, you have work to do, go do your job.
That has to do nothing but with the strength of God. I don't think in this flesh you will be able to do that.
No, I agree with you. And that's one of the things, those are when I turn. And before every one of those broadcasts, I do say a prayer and I say, please give me the strength to get through this, to do what I need to do for these people, because I know what it's like when you turn on that TV and you need to know something that's going to impact your life, and you trust the people that are going to deliver it for you. And I had to be that person for so many years.
All right, last question. You ready?
I'm ready.
If you could have any theme song be your song when you walked into a room, what would it be and why?
Well, I'm going to give it a 2 if I can. Don't worry, be happy. It was always kind of cool. And then there's a country song that I relied on for the past 6 months just before walking away from my job. And it's a country song, and I forget the name of it, but it basically goes, everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right. Just trust in yourself, trust in your God. And you know what? We just got to remember in life, if we're good people and we live our lives the best way we can, everything's going to be all right.
Love that. I wish I knew who it was and who sung it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll find it and I'll send you the clip.
Sounds good. Okay. Where can people find you?
So The Heart of the Story with Gary Metivier is the name of my YouTube and my podcast. And so I'm available pretty much on all the platforms now. As of last week, I'm on iHeart and I'm on Spotify and I'm pretty much everywhere. And then on my website, which is metiviermedia.com, that's METIVIER, so metiviermedia.com. And people can see some of my works there, and they'll see a link to the podcast and a link to the YouTube as well. And I'm on Facebook too, and I try to stay pretty active on social media to help spread the word of what I'm doing. I'm trying to build, Lillian, as you know, you sort of have to build a little community, and I'm in the process of building that community where we share ideas and we share comments and just let people know that people do want, care, are inspired by good stories, and that we want more of them. And the only way to do that is for people to listen and to watch them and to share stories that they hear that inspire them.
Well, I encourage everyone to follow you and keep this going for you, and because we need more good and positive news out there, and just positivity period in this world. It's enough mess, if you will, going on right now.
No doubt, that it's so easy, and our society too has a tendency to lean toward the negative, right? The salacious kind of stories, but people need it, whether they want to admit it or not. They may turn to a story on the Kardashians more so than they would about that small, guy running the race car. They may turn to that, but inside their heart and their soul, they need the inspirational stories. We may want some of the other stuff, but you need positivity in your life. You need to make a personal connection with people and with yourself to make this world a better place. And we can all do it, one story and one person at a time. And thank you for what you're doing to spread the word of positive things, and for spending time to talk to an up-and-comer like me who's just trying to make a mark like you are.
No, thank you. Thanks for reaching out. You enjoy your evening.
Okay, you too. Thanks, Lillian.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye. Thank you, Gary, for being on my show. I greatly appreciate it. I'm so excited for you and on this new venture that you're going into. It takes a lot of strength to do what you're doing, to give up what you thought you had planned to what God had planned. Thank you so much for all that you do. And if you would like to be on Worldly Church Girl, click the link below, shoot me an email, and let's see what we can do with that thing. And I don't understand why you haven't subscribed yet. These shows are only getting better and better. Hit that subscribe button. And thanks again for joining your one and only Worldly Church Girl.